It could have been me who passed away. It could have been me with shackles on my ankles when I go to the prison and a lot of them hail me and call my name. That could have been me, but I chose a different path, and you too can choose a different path.
Happy Youth Be Turkey Cakers, and welcome to another episode of Pushing Your Peace podcast. On this episode, I sat down with Andy Missick, a dedicated probation officer, youth parliamentarian, and active member of the Rotaract Club. Andy shared his insights on the peak pace and how today's generation is coping with the pressures of living in a fast-paced society. He also provided invaluable advice for young people caught in the cycle of gun violence, discussing how mentorship and community involvement can make a positive difference in their lives. With a deep passion for youth work and mentorship, Andy believes in building the capacity of young people and creating an environment where they can thrive despite the challenges they face. He is committed to giving service to others, not just as a profession, but as a lifelong mission for personal growth and community betterment. Sit back, relax, and let's get ready to push some peers. Andy, I just want to thank you for being a guest on Pushing Your Peers. Long overdue, but
Yes.
God's timing is sufficient. And I just want to thank you for being on the show. It's a pleasure to have you, the CARICOM Youth Ambassador of the Turks and Caicos Islands. Now, you're on Pushing Your Peers, and for this episode, we're going to be talking about pace, right? And we are living in one of the fastest pacing periods in human history. And I want you to tell me, how are you coping with living in such a fast-paced world?
Before I even begin, Mr. Lightborn, because I know this generation, the adults and youths alike, their attention span is so short. So a lot of times, they watch a little piece, miss a little piece. So since it's the beginning and everyone is tuning in, I would like to give you your flowers, Mr. Lightborn. I know you're not expecting this, but no one expected. Like you always say, you have done a lot for me from the first time that I came to Providenciales. Clueless. I came as a social worker. We shared the same office space. I can recall our first encounter. Oh, you're that guy off of the billboards. That's what I said to you. And you said to me, oh, you're that guy who makes music, who raps. And from that point forward, you mentioned my names in rooms that I wouldn't have expected to be in. You have put me on to opportunities. I can remember the Live to Lead event. I was clueless as to what it was. The first year, there was a link you shared with me. Someone missed their spot. They didn't come in person. You say, Andy, how do you feel about coming in person? And from there onward, you just continue to put me onto opportunities, continue to mention me in the ears of people who I wouldn't imagine. And I'm extremely grateful for you. And from going on the first interview, one of the first interviews that I had was on your show with two men, a panel discussion of Austria, to now being on another show that you have with a great book that I read, Happy. And it's just a pleasure, and it's always an honor to cross ways. I thank you, my brother, and I appreciate you more than words can ever express. Now,
Much
going on to
love.
your question on pace, in this generation that we live, pace is very crucial. When I think of pace in my mind, the first thing my mind run on is a race. Us as great friends of athletics, either being involved with athletics or just watching from a distance, you hear a lot, maintain the pace, maintain the pace. And also growing up around elderly folks in the Turks and Caicos Islands, you heard the saying a lot that don't rush the brush, you spill the paint, or if you rush it, you crush it. So all through life, I've been hearing and I knew of the importance of pace from the standpoint that even the Bible mentions how the race isn't for the swift, but rather who endures to the end. And bouncing off of that, you hear the common story of the turtle and the rabbit. When the turtle, he's so bold to even accept the challenge of the rabbit. and the rabbit just busts out of the blocks and he's going ahead and he gets arrogant. He ends up falling asleep and the turtle won the race. So it just goes to show that us as individuals, especially as youth, we have to be mindful of that it isn't the start, and it's the journey that counts, and it's about pushing it to the end. And a lot of times also in life we tend to compare, especially in this generation where social media, it shows the beautiful masterpiece, but it doesn't show the journey. And no one is posting their downfalls, their low times. So you're comparing your regular life to someone highlight reel. And behind closed scenes, closed doors, these people aren't even really happy with themselves. These people don't show you how they acquire these things that they acquire in life. And like J. Cole famous song said, you're never gonna be happy until you love yours. And another image that resonates well with me when I think of pace is I'm not sure if you saw the image with the guy. He's digging in a hole and he's going to look for some diamonds. And there's two of them, your life and my life. We're both digging in search for these diamonds. And you hit the diamond before me. You caught the diamond before me. And I'm looking at you who got the diamond, and I'm ahead of you in my lane, because in life we're all in our own lanes. I'm ahead of you in my lane, but you hit the diamonds in your lane, and I turn back from my lane and go to dig in your lane. But there's nothing else to achieve in your lane. But little did I know, if I kept on going in my lane, I had even more diamonds to acquire. And just like in life, you have to pace yourself based on your life, because we all are blessed with different rewards. We are given different challenges to mold us into the individuals that we are destined to be. We all have different purposes to fulfill. The garbage man is just as important as the heart surgeon. Because if the sanitarian engineers aren't there, we'll be living in pollution and we all will die. If the heart surgeon isn't there, if you have a minor heart attack, you also will pass away. So it's important to know your calling and know that God is a good God and He blessed us all with unique purposes in life. And it's important to pace ourselves and to be able to stay in your lane and run your own race, to know that your superpower is no one is like you. Your superpower is something that you can do with no one else can do. And to be honest too, Mr. Lightborn, a lot of times I found myself living like in survival mode, like something was chasing me. I can remember going to the community college, and I dropped out about twice I dropped out of the community college because the circumstances that I was faced with was really difficult. My parents weren't fortunate enough. I was going to the college and I didn't have any money. I couldn't afford, lunch and things of that nature. Things was extremely tough. And you can't function or focus on an empty stomach. So all on my mind was, man, I wanted to work. And my father, he did his very best. He was working a job and he was hustling on the side. And I could remember vividly, sometimes, when he accumulate his monies for the day, I would be like, man, Diddy, I need a couple dollars to get this or to get that, because college school is very expensive. And he would sometimes tell the guys he's working with, I'm sorry, guys, but I have to give my son these couple dollars because he needs to purchase for school. And I could saw in the guy's face that they understood, but they also had a family to provide for. So me, looking back at it, I always felt like, man, I don't just have to succeed, but I have to succeed now. And that made me feel like I always was living in a rush. I could remember getting my associate's degree and I didn't even went to the graduation. I was so focused on, man, I need to acquire the bachelor's degree. And even when I got my bachelor's degree, I was thinking about, all right, I need to start working, I need to make money. So it's always a race for me. And this messed up a lot of my personal friendships, my personal relationships, because I'm moving at such a rapid pace, and everyone who comes in my life, I'm trying to rush them to move at that pace too. Females, getting involved with females and telling them, we need to be at this level now, or at this level now. Friendships, we need to be doing this now or that now. And they just want to enjoy. I mean, they probably raised in different backgrounds, different circumstances, so they're not in such a rush. They want to have a good time. They want to enjoy life, as you should. Because what I had to learn the hard way, life happens when you're busy making other plans, when you're busy doing other things. So I missed out on so much in terms of my family time. As simple as me going to school and doing so much. My godmother passed away. I wasn't seeing her as much because I was so busy with school, doing this, trying to be successful to maybe accumulate wealth, accumulate money to take care and support her. But me not spending that time with her, she was just growing older. When I heard, she had cataracts in her eyes. When I heard again, she had this going on. She was partially blind, and eventually she passed away. So finding that balance while you're chasing to acquire and do these things and achieve these great things. So finding that balance to also enjoy life and also understand that it's not the quantity, but it's the quality of life that matters most. So what I try to do is every opportunity that I have, everywhere that I go, I live and enjoy it to the best. Like the Cabbage Man Andy Missick would say, I make it look sexy. I can wear my best suit. I can smell, wear the best cologne. I can laugh the loudest. I'm gonna, make the most out of everything, because at the end of the day, you don't know how much time you have left. So a part of pace is also enjoying the journey, because life is a journey, not a destination. You get so focused on the journey, and when you reach the journey, you have a certain sense of, this it? This ain't that special. The trophies, the accolades, this ain't that special. And you say to yourself, wow, I wasted my time. Yes, you wasted your time because you didn't enjoy your time. Even time wasted, once enjoyed, isn't wasted time. So life is about enjoying every moment, the people you're around. Look at, for instance, Mr. Lightborn, we shared office space. We're not in the same office space anymore. So we had to make the most of those moments while we could have, because life keeps on going, things keep on changing, people are passing away, people are being born, your little nephew or your godson, goddaughter, they're growing older, soon you can't lift them up high, soon you can't go and see this one and that one anymore. So it's important to enjoy the journey and pace yourself, and to know that as much as you're chasing your dreams, or you're trying to achieve this or achieve that, enjoy the journey, because it's the journey that matters, not the destination.
Andy, thank you so much for sharing such a heartfelt message. You touched on so many things, but I want to I want you to shed some light on comparison, because I feel as though our generation, we do live in a comparative nature, because of Facebook, because of Twitter, because of social media at large. I think we're always comparing each other. How do you cope or overcome the comparison, I would say, disorder, I would call it, because we could get locked in the comparison disorder and start to speed up our pace because Andy is doing this, so I need to start doing this, so I need to start doing that. How do you overcome this comparison disorder that we experience in this generation?
To be honest, I struggled greatly with comparison, especially coming from a small community, because comparison is one thing, and also we find in small communities that everyone wants to be just like the Joneses. The Joneses probably is a fortunate family or whatever the case may be, so they want to eat what they're eating, they want to drink what they're drinking, they want to do what they're doing, and especially coming from a small community, a Grand Turk, it's a situation where if you're not like everyone, you're judged, you're called names, But at the same breath, this is biblical now. No man is a prophet in his own land. So, of course, you being different, they would scold you, they wouldn't appreciate you, but you move to another place, like this Andy that you see now, doing so much, involved with so much. I don't feel like I could have accomplished this if I stayed inside Grand Turk, because they would have always look at me as that same guy coming up. They would have looked at me like, oh, okay, man, that's Andy Black's boy, and they wouldn't have seen, they would have never realized the transformation, the transition, the growth, because they were able to see me growing up and all of the mistakes I made. So they judge that, they hold on that in comparison to when I moved to Providenciales, they saw the finished product. So
Of
they saw
course.
all the hard work I put in, the sweat and the tears that I put in. And another thing about me, not only because I have a radio show, I just typically, it's in my nature to ask a lot of questions. And every successful person I ever spoke to, they said the same thing. What you see now is basically accumulation of hard times, trials, neglect, tears, blood, sweat, and I do a lot of research too. So I know that everyone went through challenges. Everyone is going through hard times. Despite a man, you might see that man successful. You might see that man on the outside appearance looking well, but you don't know how he's doing internally. And then there's a saying that I love and I enjoy, well, I live by, who helped me not to compare. You think you got it bad until you hear the next man's story. Or you could not walk a day in that man's shoes to know that what he had to go through. And you being your individual self, individuality is your superpower. Because I do public speaking, you do public speaking, so many others do public speaking. But what makes them invite Andy? What makes them invite Leo? The uniqueness, the energy that we bring, the topics that we cover. It's something that you can do that I can. And it's something that I can do that you can. So cultivating and working on my skills, becoming a better Andy, and understanding that, hey, there's already a Leo. There's already a no one expected. I need to think of, a best is yet to come or something else that makes me unique. And when we come together, we merge that to say, no one expected this out of us, but the best is yet to come. And that's what makes it even more powerful. Originality, being original. But it took a lot, especially coming from a small community when a lot of people don't want to give you a first chance. So you find yourself wanting to kiss up. You find yourself wanting to be favored by this one, that one. And also my spiritual journey, my belief in God, and whenever I find myself hanging with the wrong crowds or whatever the case may be, I find myself going through the worst of pain, the most negative things to redirect me on the right path, which is a blessing. But during that time, I felt like, why God, you separating me from these individuals, or you're doing this, you're doing that. But in hindsight, you tend to appreciate it. I I give credit to God, to be honest with you, bro. Because if you ask me, I never wanted to be here. I didn't look up to people like this growing up. But now that I look back at it, I say, man, God, thank you. And sometimes I just break down into tears like, wow, man. Wow.
You've
And
brought
so
me
I'd
so
say it's
far.
definitely divine that got me on this path, not comparing and doing what I'm doing.
Andy, thank you so much for sharing that story. You are quite long winded.
Yeah.
So I don't have any more questions no more for the first half of the show.
Yeah.
But you've unpacked so many gems, so many gems, and you've
Yeah.
touched on so many things. And I love your reference to God because at the end of the day, He created us
Mm.
and He knows the ending of our story. And a lot of times too, we just gotta trust the process,
Hmm.
trust it, But now let's transition into the second half of the show where you push your piece. So tell
Hmm.
me, which word or words that begins with the letter P has helped you tremendously along your journey?
Hmm. I would say persistence and patience. I would start off with persistence first, because in order to achieve anything in life, whether it might be that sweetheart that you dream of, or that job, or that opportunity, you have to be persistent with it. You have to uh go forward with a tenacity that, hey, I'm gonna get it no matter what. Because a lot of times, closed doors are put in place. I can remember acquiring my job as a social worker. I got denied 3 times, but it wasn't my time as yet. But I kept going, I kept trying, and being patient, and knowing that, when it's your time, it will happen. Some people say, look at patience like, the ability to wait, but it's a matter of your emotional uh, intelligence as well. How do you react? Because you could wait anxious and you're falling to pieces while waiting. You can wait and you're aggressive and you're cursing this one, that one, you're bashing this one, that one. But you have to know that God is always at work. Because maybe if I had gotten the job at that period of time, there wouldn't have been a Mr. Lightborn sitting down on my first day on the job who introduced me to this opportunity and that opportunity. So you have to know that it's there for you. What's for you, no man can take away. Because, David was, I'm making some Bible references because, we are a heavy Christian society in Turks and Caicos Islands and worldwide. Everyone know about the stories. So David was anointed as king. And even before I go to his anointment as king, the prophet went to the house and he was looking for the king. And the father at that time said, it gotta be this one, the handsomest. It gotta be this one, the strongest. It gotta be this one, the wisest. And he said, no, 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 no. To the point at which, when he didn't see any others around, he said, that's it. The prophet said, no, man, God don't make mistakes. It's one more son here. I have to anoint one. And it was the one in the back dealing with the sheep based on his heart. That God said, hey, it's this one here, David. And his anointed time wasn't his appointed time because he had to go through obstacles, challenges. He had to deal with being embraced by the King Saul, to being attempts to assassinate him by the same one who embraced him and brought him in and taught him most everything that he know. He had to go against the Goliaths and the doubters, and the list goes on. So you have to be persistent and you have to be patient. You have to understand that when it's your time, and no one can take it away. Not even you can control that time in which things supposed to fall in place. So you're supposed to just keep on putting the work in and be patient and understand that when it's your time, and it's going to happen. But just trust the course and know that the appointed time is not the anointed time, but it's going to come.
Mizik, it's Youth Week this week, and the theme is centered around violence, gun prevention of violence, gun crime, all these things. I know you had a song last year talking about this, but what would be your message to the young men that's listening now, who may be involved in gang violence or gang or gun related violence as we speak right now? What would be your advice to these young men?
It's more to life, you know. It's bigger places than the environment that you were raised in. It's bigger friend groups and more genuine and loyal friends than the ones that you're around. There's better people that you feel like you need to impress. There's people out there who you can do less, who have genuine intentions for you. And you have to know that it isn't your start, it's your finish that matters most. And look at me as a prime example. I didn't come from the most fortunate. I didn't come from a family of scholars. I didn't come from a family of public speakers or people who are doing the things that I am doing. I chose my own path. I've lost four close individuals to me this year, people I grew up with, people I hanged with, I slept in the same house with, and the list goes on. Um, and it could have been me who passed away. It could have been me with shackles on my ankles when I go to the prison, and a lot of them hailed me and called my name. That could have been me, but I chose a different path, and you too can choose a different path. And there's a bigger world out there. There's so many opportunities out there, and if you feel like no one is would accept you, I would accept you. Mr. Lightborn will accept you, and so many more people will accept you. So just know that there are people here who care about you, love you, and anyone who's influenced you to engage in those negative activities, they don't care. We care, and there's a lot of room here. So change the path and go on the right path.
Thank you so much, Mr. Missick. Now, Mr. Missick, you wouldn't be a guest on my show if I didn't ask you a spin-off question. So are you ready for your spin-off question?
Yeah, I'm ready.
What would be the worst age to stay forever and why?
I would say the worst age to stay forever would be in the range of being a toddler, I would say, because you don't have any form of independence to a great extent. Everything that you do, you wear, is all dependent on your parents and individuals around you. And we talk a lot about uh, life and the journey and so forth. And the journey becomes even sweeter. Well, to me, I feel like when you're independent and you're making choices on your own, that's when you really get to see yourself stand out as an individual in comparison when you're doing everything that others say. And but to someone else, they might have loved those days because they don't have to do much and this and that. But I like being independent, so I'd say the toddler stages of things, I would like to stay there forever. Hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Missick. Andy, it's been a pleasure having you on Pushing Your Piece. Now, I know you've read the book. Do you mind sharing something from the book with my audience before you leave? Anything that was an eye opener for you, or just your perspective on it? It can be anything about it.
I would say the title of the book, Happy, because when you think of happy, when you think of happiness, we are all chasing after that either consciously or unconsciously. Everything that we do, we seek some sort of happiness from it, either from the capacity of our individual happiness or the ability to make others happy, the ability, having the need or feeling the want to be approved by others, to feel happy, especially in the social media world, this microwave society where everyone wants that quick joy, that quick feeling of accomplishment. And as I went through the book, I get to understand to a deeper level what happiness is truly about. What happiness is really a state of mind. It's more you can acquire happiness before you reach the finish line. Happiness is definitely a journey. And like the chapter that we discussed initially, it's about pacing yourself and understanding that you can be happy right now. And like right now on the show, I'm happy to be on the show. I'm happy to share my thoughts. I'm happy to share what about the book Happy. I feel like it's crucial. So it's important for you to know that perception is reality, and that happiness is not a destination. It's a journey. It's now, and all we have is now. So what you did with that book, Mr. Lightborn, was phenomenal, and you really, like this generation would say, awakened me. That was a great book, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
For sure, Mr. Missick. Thank you so much for coming on Pushing Your Piece. Do you have any final words before we end the show?
I would like to say that big thank you to you, and I'd also like to say to the general public, uh, remember that happiness is a now thing. Enjoy life. Enjoy your loved ones. Be grateful for the people in your life. Appreciate the journey. Don't focus so much on the destination. And know that you can do what no one expected. And no matter where you are now, the best is yet to come. Just have that faith and that belief. And never give up. If you give up, you're sure to fail. But if you keep going, anything is possible. So I'd like to end with that. And thank you once again, Mr. Lightborn, for bringing me on the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, former social worker, current probation and parole officer, and the Caricon Youth Ambassador of the Turks and Caicos Islands, Andy Missick. Thank you. And I'll see you guys next week on Pushing Your Peers.